Hey, it's Melissa with Web of Creativity, and this project I'm showing you is called Cherished Memories Mini Album. I made it as a baby album using Prima's Heaven Sent Part 2 paper collection. It's so adorable. And this album is pretty big. It's 11 inches tall, 9 1/4 wide, and about 3 inches in thickness. So we got some room here. This is designed for 4 by 6 pages, pictures. And we can go ahead and open it up. So we just got some nice landscape right here, and it's quite big. It doesn't, my camera's not going to fit the whole thing in, so we're just going to show you 1/2 at a time. So on this side we have Waterfall album, and again this is made for 4 by 6 photos. And then we got our tags. And the back side we can put, I made it so you could slide your photo underneath it, or you can put some additional tags for additional pictures. And I have this waterfall on this side and some pockets on this side. This waterfall is a waterfall / pocket page. So we have our waterfall, but 3 of these flaps are tags. And our longest tag is perfect for 2 photos at the bottom and then 1 at the top. So we have 3 tags for our waterfall section. And the back pocket, the collection has a cutout page with all these cute little firsts. So we got the first step, first animals, first night's sleep. So these are perfect for your pictures. First word that you can just put these little guys next to. First haircut. I mean, these are so cute. And then it repeats on the right side of the album. Oops. So for this page construction video, we're going to put together the whole album. You're going to put together the cover, which is pretty big, the pages, and matting the pages. And then, of course, the closure, which is a magnetic closure. And there we go. Cherished Memories is the name of the album. And this has kits and a tutorial on my blog already at webofcreativity.net. All the links are in the description below. Alright, let's get started. Alright, so we're going to work on our first page. So I have all my pieces cut out. This is going to be the main piece that's going to be the front and back for the first page. And then I have 6 pieces to make our 3 pockets. So we need our long pieces, and then the short square pieces are going to be our attached to make the pocket itself. So we need to do some scoring. So our main page just mostly gets one score to create a tab. White is a little hard to see. I do not have anything dark to put underneath, so hopefully it won't be too bad. Then we got our first piece of our pocket. And I'm just doing a tab for these three. And then we're going to do 3 tabs on our next piece to make our pocket. So for our pocket pieces, we have our 1/2" tab, so we're just going to fold our tab piece. We're going to go ahead and taper the corners and add our tape. So we're going to do that on all 3 pieces. Taper is cutting from the score line at an angle to cut off the corner. I'm using 3/8" tape for these tabs. And then for our square pieces, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to fold on the score line, taper, and add our tape. Except with these pieces, we're going to do it on 3 sides. So now that we have our 3 sides, we're going to go ahead and taper our top pieces, and then we're doing the same thing with the bottom and cutting this whole corner off. So we're going to pretty much cut it at an angle. And we're going to do that with all 3 pieces and add tape. And I'm using my bone folder to crease the score line. One more piece. Alright, so then we're going to go ahead and add our tape to our tabs. one more. Then we'll take one of our main flaps with the tab down at the bottom, and our 3 sides are going to fold and attach right above that score line to make our pocket. So let me see if I can. So there's our score line. I can just fold it under. And this is going to attach, just lining up with it, flush the bottom and both sides. So what I do is go down one edge first to line that up evenly, so I can line up the second edge. And there is our pocket. All right, 2 more. Line it up with the bottom. Okay, and I'm going to flush. Okay, there's our 3rd pocket. Alright, so we'll take our main page and fold on our tab. We'll taper the corners. And add our tape. Alright, next we're going to attach our pieces, our pockets. So our 1st and 3rd pocket are going to get attached about 1/8 of an inch from the top and bottom. And then our middle pocket will be in the middle on this side. So we're going to go ahead and attach our top one, and it's going to be flush to the side, so you can fold your tab in and make it flush. So I'm going to turn my page so I can see it better, but again, this is the top. I'm going to do 1/4 of an inch from the top. I'm eyeballing. Feel free to use your ruler. Alright, and then I'm going to do the bottom. And again, it's about 1/8 of an inch from the bottom. So I have those 2 attached. And then this guy is going to get attached to the middle. I'm turning it so I can see. And this one I'm going to use my Tim Holtz ruler so I can see the middle. And this is going to be flush to the edge. And there we go. Now we have our front of page 1. We're going to flip it for the back side. For the back side, we have 3 pieces to make some pocket pieces. And we're going to take our largest piece and make that, score that with some 3 tabs so we can have a pocket. Then our next longest piece is the same, scoring on to make 3 tabs for our pocket piece. And the smallest piece just gets 1 tab. Alright, so for our 1 tab, we will go ahead and fold and taper the corners. Then add our tape. Then our pocket piece. Taper our corners. Add our tape. And then our largest pocket piece. Okay, so we'll attach our biggest pocket first. Alright, next we're going to take our other 2 pieces and attach our pocket piece right above the score line on our second piece. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Okay, and then we're going to attach right above the score line. You can fold that under if you want. It caught before I had it evenly. And that's why sometimes it's good just to do one side at a time for bigger pieces. So that's what I will do. right above the score line. Alright, if you're wondering what I used to undo that, I have a spatula from the Cricut, is what I use, but you can, I think they sell it separately. Alright, now that we got our pocket and this tab, we're going to attach it to our main page. So we're going to line it up to the bottom of that first pocket evenly. I always like to, before I remove the tape, put it down and line it up just to make sure that the pieces line up. I didn't cut the paper wrong, because if I did, I can make a new one before it gets attached, just in case something is off or wrong, or I miscalculated or miscut. Alright, there we go. There is our back side and then our front side. For the cover, we have several pieces of chipboard. So we have this will be the inside piece and the front spine small section. And this is the same but for the other side. And then we got the back pieces and the spine. So we're going to start with just one section at a time. So we're going to want an inside piece, which is this smaller of the two large pieces of chipboard. So we're going to start with the smaller one. And then we want, I'm just using white paper for my cover, and then I'm going to use pattern paper to put on top of it. So I'm going to take one large white piece, and I did draw me a little line so I can follow where I want to place it. And then I'm going to place this piece next to it using a spacer. So I'll go over the spacer in just a second. So what I did was I already covered it with tape, so I'm going to untape my piece. So this is going to be even at the top and bottom. So we're pretty much centering it. And then I'm going to use a spacer before I attach my small piece. So spacer is 2 pieces of chipboard. And you will put it butt up against the edge. And then you'll attach the piece evenly top to bottom. Alright, let me take off my tape. Use my spacer and attach it so it's even with the top and bottom chipboard piece. Alright, so the next piece for this just little section right here is going to be one of the largest pieces of chipboard, and we're going to set it up next to it. So do not pre-tape this one because it depends on the size of what's left in the paper. So we're going to do, I'm going to get my large 1/2 inch tape, and I'm just going to do one edge. Then I'm going to do one edge on this side, but short of where the chipboard will be. So I'm just going to go and eye it from where the chipboard will start and finish. So I leave about, about a ½ inch or a little less. And then I'm going to check to see if it needs more tape. So I'm going to just put a little piece. See, when you hold it together, you see this piece of tape here and this piece of tape here. So I'm just going to put just enough to cover that gap. And then I will remove the tape backing. And do the same thing using the spacer, lining my chipboard. I'm holding this up at an angle so it doesn't stick to this edge before I'm ready. So I'm going to line it up so it's even with the top and bottom, and then I'm going to lay it down. So that is one side. I'm going to take my foam folder and rub it. So I'm going to repeat doing the same thing for the other side. For the smaller piece, the little piece in the middle, and then attaching just a portion of it to the large piece. So it's going to go on the other side, so we're going to do it the opposite side. So for the next section, it's going to be identical, but flipped to the right side. So let me set this aside and grab our large piece. Again, I drew a little bit of a line so I can see it. Make sure it's even. And we're going to attach the smaller of the larger chipboard piece first. Take the smallest piece and attach using my spacer. Because the paper is white and one color, you can essentially do this on the same side as the last one. But if you're using a pattern paper, you want to make sure that it's the right direction. Okay, so for our large piece, we're going to add our tape. So again, we're going to do the edge on the paper, but just short from the top and bottom, about a ½ inch or so. Then we're going to do one edge of the chipboard. Then we're going to add just a little piece to close in the gap. going to use our spacer and then line up evenly at the top and bottom, again holding the chipboard at an angle. Alright. Okay, now we got our two sections, and then we need to attach the middle and the spine. Alright, next is the main spine piece. So I've already added tape to the edges of my piece and drew some lines so I know where the center is. I'm actually going to add an extra piece of tape here. So we're going to attach the spine to the center of the paper once I get the tape backing off. There we go. Alright, and then we need to attach our front and back panels. So we're going to take our front panel, and again I added tape to the edge, and then again I added tape to the edge of the chipboard. It doesn't need any extra. It's going to be perfect. There's no gap. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to use our spacer again. So we're going to go ahead and flip this guy over. And this is where I think I need 3 hands. So I'm going to hold, because like the other one, I want to hold this up at an angle, but it is attached to other sheets. So let's there we go. So that's our front panel, and then we're going to do our back panel. I added tape to my paper and then tape to the chipboard. Use our spacer. And okay. Just make it even to the top and bottom. And there is our spine piece. Alright, next up is to cover our 2 pieces right here, and we're going to use a piece of white paper, but we need some visual edges to figure out where this goes. So we are going to need to fold this. I'm going to flip it over and just fold on the edges so we can get our spine pieces folded a bit. So we can see where our paper is going to go. Alright, so we need to add our tape. So we're going to add our tape to our chipboard. going to go ahead and add a piece all the way to the top and bottom of the white paper. We're going to do both edges of the white paper. See what else we need to add our tape to. So we're just going to add some tape in the center. So I'm going to start at one edge first and line it up, and then have it lay down. Okay, and then I'll take the tape off of the white paper. Now, because this is a big piece, I'm going to need to move slowly. I'm going to turn this so I can see my edge. So I'm going to make sure it's flush on this edge, lined up evenly, and then slowly fold it on top so it is straight. There we go. That is our front or our back. It doesn't matter at the moment. Let's go ahead and do the exact same thing to the back side. Alright, so I did the same thing to the back side and covered it in tape and just folded it on the inside. And now I'm going to go ahead and attach. Remove the tape from the paper. Okay, so I can see my edge. I am going to turn this And it's going to do, again, along the edge, flush the top and bottom. Now we got our whole piece covered. Alright, next we are adding tape to the edges of the chipboard. So this is very long, so it's hard to see everything. But we're going to add tape to the edge of the chipboard, skipping the inside seams. So we'll add tape, tape, tape all the way around the whole thing. And we're going to do it flush to the edge, and I'm using 3/8 inch tape. So the reason why it's 3/8 inch tape is because this is only a 1/2 inch paper. If this tape was a 1/2 inch, and when you fold it, your tape's going to show. So you want to use 3/8 inch or less all the way around. Alright, so next we are going to go over the edge with a score. It has a score tip, and you usually have it on the score pad. Well, this one, we're just going to outline the edge of the chipboard with the bone folder. So you're going to go all the way down, you're going to skip the 2 spots, and you're just going to go like that all the way around. And that's scores it a little bit, helps with folding the edges over. And before we do that, before we fold the edges, go ahead and score the whole thing. And we're going to taper the corners. So I use craft knife. Mine's Martha Stewart's. It's pretty dirty. And at an angle, and then we're going to cut the paper, but it's going to be 1/8 inch from the corner of the chipboard. And with a Tim Holtz ruler, you have that 1/8 inch line. So let me see if I can zoom in. So again, we're going to do 1/8 inch in on the ruler from the corner of the chipboard. So we'll line up that corner with the 1/8 inch line. We're going to have it at somewhat of an angle and cut. So we have 1/8 inch paper still showing. So you'll do that to all 4 corners. Alright, next we are going to fold the edge over. I'm going to use my Teflon bone folder. And that just gives it another crease before I roll it over. So we're only going to do the left and right edges first. I'm folding back just the corner pieces. And then we're going to tuck in our corners. So we're going to do this on both sides, tuck in the corners, and then do the top and bottom. So let me see if I can get... Alright, so for tucking in, we have just a little bit of paper. You can take your nail, your bone folder, and you're just tucking it in a little bit. And then we fold this paper over it and it doesn't expose that chipboard corner. Let me see if I... There we go. So you can see... There you go. You can see it tucked in. So you're going to do that on all 4 corners. Alright, next up is the challenging part. Clearing off what I can of my desk. So the challenging part is removing all the tape on one side and folding it over, and this is a very long piece. So we're going to do our best. Oh, I'm not... So I'm going to be partially off camera. So we're going to fold the edge over, and I like to use my bone folder skipping those gaps. I don't want that paper to rip. So we're just going to run the bone folder over the edge just to get it to manipulate the paper so it folds a lot easier. Then we're going to have to do a section at a time. And again, always skip those gaps. You don't want that paper to rip. So go slowly, one section at a time. Now you don't have to press real hard on the edge. I'm just trying to flatten it out on the edge is what I'm doing. Alright. And our nice clean corner. Okay. Try this side. Did I already fold it up? Bone folder is not necessary. You can just use your fingers if you don't have one. Alright, so we're going to start with one side at a time. Now, because mistakes do happen, and if you do rip some paper, add another piece on there, or take that opportunity to use some pattern paper to cover it up. Alright, now we got our edges done, and next is the inside. Alright, for our inside cover, we have one large sheet that we're going to put down. So we added tape on all four sides of the paper, and now we need to add tape. We're going to add tape to the outside of the gap. This way our paper doesn't bubble. And we're going to do the inside of the gap as well. On both sides. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of tape. And then again, I'm just going to, before I attach, I always place down first. We're going to have a 1/8 inch border all the way around. Alright, perfect. Then I'm going to remove the tape backing from the paper. Alright, so for me, I'm going to change the direction so I can see it better. I'm going to line it up. So again, it's 1/8 inch border, top, bottom edge. And I'm going to find and hold down that gap area. I hold it because I don't want that paper to bubble. Even though I put tape in there, it shouldn't bubble. Give it a little fold. All right, repeat that for the opposite side. All right, once both sides are done, we'll work on the middle spine piece. So I put tape all the way around the edges of the spine piece, and now we need to put tape in the middle where the spine piece is. So we want it on both sides, flush against the chipboard edge on both sides of the gap. I'm not going all the way to the top with my tape because my paper has tape on it. So I'll already have tape at the top and the bottom. And I'm going to just go ahead and put one more piece in the middle. There we go. Go ahead and remove the tape backing. Okay, so we're going to go, I'm eyeballing this, but you pretty much just want it in the middle and the top at 1/8 inch border. There we go. Alright, for the last two spots, we're going to attach two pieces, but we're going to want to see that score line so we can make sure we get it in the even in the middle. So we can see the two on the side. So now we need to fold the middle. And that gives us a line to go by. And with our paper, we're going to just cover it in tape. So I tape the edges and then put some more on the middle. So we'll go in between both of the score lines and pretty much evenly put it down. All right. And this is going to be the same as the others, 1/4 or 1/8 inch from the bottom. Oh, I know this is very white, but once we add our papers and our embellishments, it's going to look great. All right, so our last piece. Alright, so again, 1/8 inch from the bottom, which you can use the papers you've already attached as guidelines, which is what I'm doing, and then in between the score lines. Okay, there's our cover. So it folds in and it folds up, and there we go. There's our cover. Alright, next are pages. We are going to work on the inside inner cover. So when we open this all up, we have this inside cover right here. So we're going to mat it and we're going to add some flaps. So that's what we're going to work on right now. I already cut out my mat for that piece, and I'm trying to use some craft cardstock so you can see the white pieces better. So we cut out our flaps. There's 4 of them. I've already made one of them. And then we're going to score all the pieces to make a tab. Fold on the score line. And then we're going to taper the edges. Again, that's cutting from the score line at an angle. We're going to add our tape to the tab. And then we're going to punch the corner. I have We Are Memory Keepers corner chomper, and I'm using the 1/2 inch. I'm going to punch the corners. Because our album is so large, we're going to go ahead and mat these pieces before we attach them. So how I did my mats is I made one large mat for the top flap, and then partial mats for the other 3 flaps. But I'm going to punch the bottom of the mats and then the corners, and then punch on the top line. I have a scallop punch. Any scallop punch will work, but this is the one that I have. So that's what we're going to do. And I'm not going to ink this time. I usually always ink my pages, paper, but I'm not going to do that. Alright, so for the top edge, and there we have our piece. Alright, gonna do that with the other two pieces. Once all the pieces are done, we can mat. So I'm using my ATG. This just makes the process faster when for recording purposes. Feel free to use double-sided tape or a stronger adhesive. You should base your adhesive on, and that's it. Need to change my adhesive out. You base your adhesive on what you're going to be putting on your paper. So if you're going to have heavy embellishments, I would use double-sided tape. But if you're just going to have one piece and one picture, then ATG should work. But always base it on what works for you. If it's going to be heavily touched, double-sided adhesive will definitely last longer. Let me change that out. All right, do your next 3 pieces. If you're wondering why I'm doing partial mats, it's because this album is a little paper heavy because of all the flaps. So what I did was, after planning all of my pages and how I'm going to mat them and the covers, I take what's left for the inside covers and matting and what I have left. So this is just to save a little paper. I want to make sure I have enough to mat my entire album. Things like that. Alright, now that we have our flaps matted, I did already tape the back of this, but I'm going to add some ATG on both sides. Trying to, there we go. I'm going to add ATG. And we're going to attach, leaving a 1/8 border around the edge. Then we have our flaps. We can put it, you can put it in the middle or to this side. And I think I'm going to do to the side so I can decorate this little piece right here. I'm going to rotate this so I can get a better view when attaching. So I'm going to attach this, our first piece first. I'm going to have the next one about an inch lower. I just forgot to measure it. So I'm going to do an inch lower. I'm going to go ahead and use the ruler so I can get a straight line. Crooked. Sure is. I should have done the bottom one first. Yes, I should have. Alright, so what I did was I just lined it up an inch from the bottom and lined it up on the both sides and then attached it. I'd recommend starting with the bottom one first so you can see better. That's alright. Multiple ways of doing things. So I'll probably wait till the end and find my scraps and do like a little scallop punch and then cover those. All right. So next we're gonna do the stick to the inside, but on the back side. So I've already cut my mat. So we have a mat, and then we have a pocket piece, and then a mat for the pocket. So let me move this out of the way, and we are going to score our pocket piece. For this piece, we're going to need 3 tabs. I'm going to fold on the tabs. Taper the corners, so we're going to cut at an angle from the score line. And for the corner, it's the same idea. Cut at an angle to the score line, and you're just cutting that corner off. Then we're going to add tape. And because it's easier, I'm going to attach my mat. I'm removing the tape backing. Alright, so we're going to, just like the front cover, attach it. So it's about a 1/8 inch border all the way around. I'm going to use some ATG. That looks good. And then I'm going to fold the pocket in and just attach it at the bottom. And now I like to take off the tab on the side and attach the bottom to it. And I'm just eyeballing it. You can place your pocket just about anywhere on the page. And the insides are done. we are going to work on the waterfall page, which goes here and here. So we're going to start with our 3 pieces, which are the pocket pieces. So the pocket pieces get scored so you have 3 tabs to make our pockets on all 3 sheets. Alright, for each one, you're going to fold on the score line, on all 3 score lines. We're going to taper the corners. And then add our tape. So this way we have 3 tabs taped that will fold under and make our pocket. So we're going to do that on the other 2 pieces, which I have scored the same. Alright, once you get all 3 of them scored and taped, we're going to attach them together. So I'm going to start with the smallest one. I'm going to attach onto the middle one. So I will, like always, test it first, make sure it's going to fit and you scored everything correctly. So how I'm going to attach this is it's going to be right above the score line on the bottom, and then between these score lines it's going to fit. You don't want to go over the score lines. Alright, that's 1 pocket, and then we're going to attach this one to the large one. I'm going to attach it the same. It's going to be right above the score line on the bottom, and then in between the score lines on the sides. There we go. And then this is going to get attached in our album. So we're going to get, here's the area that we're going to attach it to. And if you see where this line is and our line from our spine area, We're going to put it in between there. I know it's a little hard with the white. And we're going to attach it so it's about 1/4 from the bottom. Okay. Make it about even on both sides, the best you can. You can use a ruler or just eyeball it like I did. Okay, next is to work on the tags and the flaps that go in here. Alright, next are our flaps, which is several sheets here. So we're going to take our first flap, and just the small paper gets scored just to create a tab. We're going to fold on the score line, taper our corners, add tape, and we're going to attach it to the top of our first piece. And this is going to make our first tag, or the first flap of our waterfall album. So there's our first piece right there, and then I'm going to punch the corners. Alright, there's our first piece. Our mid pieces are going to get scored. And these guys just get folded. We're going to go ahead and punch these as well. So the one that has the shortest flap, this is the middle flap in the waterfall. So it's going to get punched on one, or you can punch all of them. It's up to you. And then this one is even. So just two corners on the last piece. And then we have two more sheets. These are our fill-ins. I'm just creating a tab. These are our fill-ins to finish up the waterfall look. So we have 3 pockets for our waterfall style page. So we got those punched. We're going to fold on the score line. And then we're going to add our tape. So we have all of our pieces. going to make some room. So we're going to take our 2 fill-in flaps. We're going to attach them. Oops. We're going to attach them to the top part section and the middle part section. So I'm going to take my Tim Holtz ruler, which I love because it has a center point. So you can you can center your piece using the center point and get it even. So we're going to, hard to see with the white. And since I don't want to block the view, I'm turning this upside down so I can see it better. Alright. So in the top section of the album, of the waterfall pocket, the top section of the pocket. I'm going to get that centered. I'm going to flap centered. Okay. And then we have the middle section. We're going to do the same thing. Oh, I did get it a little crooked on the bottom, but looks like it's even. It's alright. I know I just used the bone folder to get this popped down. I'm going to see if I can bring it up just a bit. Nope, I'm not going to. I'm just going to leave it like that. You can't tell. I'm going to turn this around. And then put our tags in. So now we have our waterfall page with 3 pull-out tags. Now the largest tag will fit 2 4x6 photos on it, and then a 4x6 photo on this after it's been matted. So it will fit just nice. So all these will be perfect for 4x6 photos after it's been matted and still fit and show the paper. So there's our waterfall piece, and we're going to put another one on this side. And then we'll attach our pages on the smaller spine. We we are going to work on finishing up this flaps page in the front. So we're going to have cut out our little strip that we're going to attach magnetically. So we're going to tape our little tab. I just scored a little tab piece on it. We're going to tape it down and we're going to add our magnet to keep it attached. And then I cut out some strips to hide the 1/2" tab and punched them on the bottom. And then a strip to hide the magnet on the first flap. Now normally I would have put the magnet on the first flap before I matted it, but because I didn't, I'm going to have to put it on the back side. So we're going to attach our magnet first. If I can get on the camera, I'm going to attach it to the top flap in the center. So I'm first going to put a piece of tape on it. I am just cutting me a piece of tape. I'm off camera, but that's all right. Okay. All right, I put a piece of tape and remove the backing, and then I'm going to take my ruler. This is a good distance away from my vision, so hopefully I can see it. There we go. Put it in the center. And then I'm going to add another piece of tape over it. Then we're going to attach our little mat that I made. Oh, I already did that part. Remove my tape. Okay, and then this tab piece that we have, I'm going to attach the little strip that I made and punched at the bottom. There we go. Then I'm going to attach the rest of them, and then we need to attach our piece right here. I think I'm going to about 1/4 of an inch from the bottom. Yeah, touch about the 1/4 of an inch from the bottom and then the center. About in the center. Is that right? but it's good enough. Put a piece of tape on my magnet. And then put another piece over my magnet. And I'm actually going to add tape to my mat for this piece, just because there's a magnet on it and the piece isn't that big. I don't need it to come up like the mat come up because the magnet's poofing out. It shouldn't, but I'm going to take my precaution. Got that all taped up. And then I'm going to add my last little piece. All right. Now that is done. And then we can add, you know, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So I cut out a little white square. And I have some stickers. Got these really cute word stickers, and I'm going to put, I think I like this one. Yeah. Either this one or this one. Oh, I think I'm going to do that one. Sometimes the hardest decision is picking which one you want to do. Oh, that's a little crooked. Go from the top. Okay. It says Goo Goo. It's a little shiny. Okay, that finishes that side. All right, we're going to work on our page, our first page. So the first thing we're going to do is attach an anchor strip. So I already cut out the strip, gave it a tab, and punched the corners. So I'm just going to attach this strip at the top, centered, and flush to the side. And then we're going to add our magnets. And I'm going to turn it this way so I can see it better. So that's where our magnet's going to go. So I already added tape to my magnet, and then I'm just going to, I eyeball it about center. And add my tape. Then I take my I'm going to add a little adhesive to the back of my magnet and attach my magnet to, so it has a little adhesive on the top, so when I close it, it's going to stick to a pretty much perfect placement. And then I tape that piece. That'll keep my pages from flopping around. So I do have a mat for this piece, which I do want to add tape to, again, just to keep it secure. Just okay, now for the mats for these pages, I have just a regular, I didn't punch any of these, which you can. Oh. So that's what I have for this page. I'm going to go ahead and attach. I make my pocket, the mat that I'm taping right now, I make it a little bit bigger so it tucks down past the line. But if you're making your mats and you want to have that like a white area showing, you can do that. But I like to, I don't know why, just have my piece go in a little bit, which does make it difficult, or that's not a word, to attach the mat. And I'm just trying to center it on the page, which is about a 1/8 inch border all the way around. Yeah. And then I have the rest for the same thing for on here. And then this area, I have one large mat that's going to fit right there. And then for the insides, I took the same piece here and made it a bigger mat for the inside. So I didn't make a full mat. I did put, this is a cutout piece from the collection. So I'm only going to put adhesive on one side of it. So I'm going to let it open so you can slide your picture behind it. That's what we're going to do with that one. I'm actually going to put tape for this cutout piece. I'm going to eyeball the center. Just because I eyeball things, I do put the actual measurements in the tutorial. So even though I eyeballed the center, I'll tell you how much from the top and bottom it is. So that gives us room for, I can even put a tag there if I wanted to. But that's going to be where I can slide partial picture underneath it. It's going to look cute. All right, I'm going to finish matting this and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, I finished matting all of page 1. So plenty of space for all your photos. This is designed for 4x6 photos, so perfect for all those. Now I just need some tags. So we're going to work on the back side. All right, for the back side of the page, we're going to have a closure. So I've already cut my closure with my tab and cut the corners, and we're going to attach that in the middle using a magnet. And I already cut out my mats, so we'll have the inside, and then I have, instead of one full piece, I have 2 separate pieces for the inside of that pocket, and then this side I have these 2 pieces which I want to round the corners on these, and then we'll have our closure in the middle. So we'll attach our closure first, and these will all have tags in them. So we have tags for this pocket and then tags for this pocket. So there's going to be 4 tags. I'm going to turn this around so I can see where my middle spot is going to be. I'm going to use my trusty ruler. There we go. And then put some tape on my magnet. Put that about there. That looks good. put some adhesive. Let's see where I find my adhesive. I just take a little bit from my ATG. There we go. Then we're going to tape it down. Just getting the tape. And going to put tape on my mat for the strip. Okay. Alright, so we all make mistakes. Put the magnet in the wrong spot. So I removed it from here. It does not go on this page. It goes on this piece. So I put my little adhesive here. And voila! It's because I have my mats separated. So I don't have a good area for it to get covered. But it'll get covered better there. It still works. So I'm going to add my tape. And then I'm going to go punch my corners. So I'm only punching my corners on the 4 individual mats and leaving the other larger mat alone. You can punch your corners or do an edge punch or whatever you have in your supplies. There we go. Just getting an idea of where my placement's going to be. And then I'm going to attach. Now this is just one page. We have a second page, but it's going to be the opposite direction. So it's like a mirror image. And I'm not going to do that one on video. It's the same process, and the directions are in the tutorial. So we have our small piece. I'm going to turn this so I can get a better angle. And yes, I know the paper is going a different direction than my mats. And I just didn't want to have to cut into another paper to change the direction. I didn't mind. Doesn't bother me. Okay, so let me do our last piece. Alright, our last piece. It's a great big area to decorate. Okay. So we just have to attach it to the album. Yeah. Alright, moving on. Alright, next we're going to work on the waterfall page in the back. So we're going to do kind of the same thing as we did the front waterfall, where we have a strip that's going to cover the tab piece. So I punched the edge with a scallop punch. So I have one of those I'm going to do on camera, and then one large piece for the back area, and then flaps, mats for the flaps. So for the mats, we are going to punch just the bottom two corners. And that's all we're going to do for those. I'm going to go ahead and attach the first one on camera, and the rest I'm going to do off. So right now I'm just adding my adhesive. And these are just going to go centered, which is going to give you about 1/8 border all the way around. So the first strip that goes on the first pocket is going to probably be the hardest, because you need to make sure your flap is lined up with your second one as your guide. So let me punch the edge of this. So I'll use a scallop punch. This one's an EK Success. I don't actually know the name of it except it's a scallop one. It is kind of loud and it might, yeah, shake my camera a little bit. And that's our scallop piece. So let's make sure this guy is lined up perfectly so we can get a good placement. That looks perfect. So I'm going to add my adhesive to my strip. Now you don't have to scallop punch. You can just cut a regular strip or cut a mat that'll cover this whole section. Just whatever you want to do. There we go. I'll do one more. Gives it a little something extra. And then I'll do one more mat and then I'll finish it up. Now for this one, I'm not adding a closure because it is in the back. I don't presume the flaps flying everywhere. So I'm not doing a closure like I did the front. The front waterfall page. All right, I'm going to finish matting up all those, and then I'm going to go ahead and attach this guy. Now when I get all of my waterfall pages and my covers all covered, I will see what paper I have left over to cover the backs. And I also want to put, because this big guy right here, I have space for 2 4x6 photos. So the mats will be just a little bit bigger. And I have space for that. I do have some solid color cardstock I'm just going to use. I'm going to see what paper I have left. I might just do a couple of decorative strips like I did the top piece here. Or just do, you know, half of a piece. We'll see, you know, what you have. I like to mat the majority of the front pages before I do any of the back. All right, I'm going to finish that up real quick. And now it's all matted. So it looks really good. Now it's time to move on to the rest. So the next is to mat these two covers. So I've already cut out my pieces and I'm going to attach them like so. Alright, just a note for these, I put them on because the album closes flat, you don't want anything dimensional on these two. So a couple of pictures will be fine. Anything that's flat, stickers would be perfect for these, but nothing 3D because it does close. So next we need to do is attach our page to our to our spine. So we're going to attach it so there's more area in the back than the front, because when you add pictures, these are going to raise a little bit more. This might come up a little bit more, so it's going to need more space in the back than it is the front. So what I'm going to do is turn it so I can have a better view of this area, and we're going to measure poorly because I can't see. So I'm going to have to do some markings. So I'm going to mark it where I want to put it. I could probably just eyeball it, actually. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to eye it. So again, I want to have the back side. Whoop! That's it stuck before I was ready. I probably shouldn't have took the whole tape backing off. Okay. Let's try there. Well, that looks perfect. Alright, let me turn it so I can make sure it's even. It looks spot on. Alright, there we go. So again, it's, let me see if I can, nope, wrong way. So I have some space there. That's, I can measure. About 3/8 inches. It's about 3/8 inches. And then this side is about 1 inch to the line right there, the edge of the chipboard. So 1 inch on that side and about 3/8 of an inch on this side. So we're going to do that for this page. And then the other page is the opposite. So you want to make sure that when I say opposite, that when you attach it, you attach it so it's mirrored image to the first page, and then it'll flip like that. So you're going to attach it in the same manner. And then we have a strip that I've already cut and punched that we're going to just place to hide the tab. Alright, and then we got tags to work on and the cover. Alright, it's time to decorate the cover. So I cut my cover piece out, and that's for the front. I have some pieces for this side, and the back spine is actually going to get covered in some Persian ruffle trim by Prima. So I'm going to attach this piece to the front, this to the back. So the cover gets placed about 1/4 inch with a 1/4 inch border for the front and the back. So for the spine, which is going to be hard for my camera to see. This needs some magnets. So we have our pieces that we cut out, and then I have our closure, which is going to be magnetic. So we have our pieces, and then our magnetic closure. And so we need to place our magnets on our closure and then on our spine area. So let's go ahead and do that first. So I'm going to attach about right there. Okay, so when I attach my magnet, I want to make sure that when my mat goes all the way over it. So I'm just filling to make sure my mat's going to cover all the edges. And that looks like a good placement for it. I'm going to grab my tape. And we're going to go ahead and mat it. I'm just removing the tape backing from my piece. Now the back closure piece only gets tape on about 1 inch of it. So you're going to go in 1 inch and tape to make sure it's going to be the left side, because the left side's what's going to attach to the left side of the binding. So once that one's done, we'll go ahead and do the second one. Alright, so placement might have a little bit of a challenge to record it, because we need to know where it's going to be put on the spine before we cover it with paper. So I'm going to do, it's really hard on the camera, so I'll flip it up when I'm ready. I know the placement of how far down my piece is going to go. So I'm going to add some tape to my magnet. Not the strong stuff, the ATG. Just going to put a little on the back because I just need it to stick so I can tape it down. And of course I'm not attaching this piece, I'm just figuring out my placement for my magnet, and then once my magnets are attached I can cover it with my paper. So I'm going to measure where I'm going to go, where I'm going to put it, Making sure everything is lined up. Sometimes these are the times you wish you had an extra hand. It's going to be about there. So I measured going down and figured out my placement, and it didn't stick, so I got to rub it a little bit more harder. Oh, measured going down, placement, and then I'm going to rub it and make sure the magnet sticks to my paper. Seriously need to have an extra hand. There we go. I'm going to tape it. I'm going to check to make sure my mat's going to cover it. Okay. Then I'm going to tape it. And then I'm going to test it out. Because I can always move it. I think I'm going to have to move it. But you get the idea. Alright, now to do the second one. Alright. You can't see it, but this is going to be easier for me. So we're going to do it this way. Standing it up. Then I'm going to measure where I'm going to place it. Hold my book closed. It didn't stick. I probably need more adhesive. Ah, there we go. I got it. So it's easier when you're having the book stand up than laying flat. So I got my next magnet on board. Alright, then once you got your magnets in place, you're going to add tape to them, and then we're going to add our piece to it. So when attaching this one, I'm going to attach it to the center. It's going to be more of a 1/8 inch border than a 1/4 inch border. And don't forget to take the tape backing off of your magnets, which I was about to do. Okay. Open that up. So right now I am rubbing the edge where the magnet, oh, might have made a little bit of a fingernail mark there. Trying to attach paper with your head sideways with an album straight up and down is a little difficult. But still doable. It's still doable. Now I punched just the two corners. I left the straight ones on the inside. Let's see if I can get this one lined up. And I used tape for these just because my closure was going to attach to it. So I wanted to make sure it was, there we go. And for the closure, because there's a magnet, we can attach the magnet and then remove the tape to attach it to our binding, as long as it's straight. I'm going to take the tape backing off of our closure, and again that's only taped up to about an inch inward. And I'm going to do it at an angle so the magnet catches first, and then I can get it closing. So again, at an angle, and then I'm going to make sure it's straight and lined up. Make sure my book is closed. Okay, then I'm going to do the second one. Again, at an angle so the magnet catches. Make sure it's lined up, straight, and the album closed. And there we have our closure. And then we'll just add some pieces to it to make it all pretty and cute. I got some these stickers, and I got my little bear and my little bunny. I'm gonna put my little bear up here, my bunny down here, and have like a little word sticker underneath each one. Okay, so next is the trim. So the trim is Persian ruffle trim, and I'm going to do 3 strands of it on this spine. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my stuff. So for the trim, we got 3 pieces, but before we attach it, we're going to prep it a little bit. It has the extra lace, and of course I don't want to cut the extra lace because I'm not very familiar with this stuff. So this is how I'm doing it. If you have a better way of trimming the trim, then feel free to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add tape to the extra lace. Then I'm going to fold it over and attach it like so. And then I'm actually going to attach the trim using tape because that's the adhesive I like. So I'm just adding the tape to the edge of the trim. And now I'm going to spend the next 10 minutes trying to get the tape backing off of the tape. Yeah, that's actually what I'm going to do. It's going to take forever. Alright. Alright, so I got it started with my craft knife. Okay, so I want to fold it over, but not folding over any of the pretty flowers. So I just want to that's that'll work because I am going to be squishing it with the other trim pieces. Let's see if I can do this one a bit faster. There we go. The other one could have went in a little bit more, but I'm just going to put it on the inside so the ruffles can line up right next to them and you won't tell. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and prep the other two pieces and then attach. Okay, so what I did, after I folded my edges, I put 2 pieces of tape on the back. I'm going to start at the edge, at the top, and go down the spine. Then I'm going to attach the other 2. So hopefully this doesn't take an hour. Alright, so it took a little bit. I'm going to not remove all of the tape. I'm just going to remove part of it, attach, and then pull some more and attach. Because if this is waving around when I'm attaching, this part might get attached to something I don't want it to. So, we're going to start from the top, follow the edge, now you can color your ribbon. You can leave it white. You don't have to attach it at all. You can attach paper. So I got my first piece on there. It looks good. Some stain sprays will work with it. I'm fluffing it up. I'm messing with it before I'm finished attaching. So next I'm going to attach this guy right beside it. I always like to look before I attach, and this So the hardest part is getting the tape backing off of the tape. I'm going to do the same thing, just pull some of it down. Give me a starting point. I'm going to trim a little bit of the top. Okay, so I'm going to give me a starting point. About there looks good. Now, I don't have a whole lot of experience with the Prima trim. Oh, but it's gonna look good. Alright, let's try not to take an hour. It's the second piece that's the hardest. I don't know if it's because my fingers stick to the first piece. It's harder to grab. Okay. So when I was applying the second one, I was squishing it in a little bit to the first one. I know it's hard to see because I'm on the table like this, but it's really the only way I can attach it. But I just go slowly. And look at that. Look how good that looks. And it's soft. We'll definitely have to use that again. That's perfect. Alright, one of the last steps besides decorating is to add your tags. So I cut the tags and cornered 1/2 inch corner rounder on these, on actually all the tags. So it's only just on the first half, for top half. So that's it. Just do the tags and then the rest is decorating the album. So once you got your main pages matted, you take your leftover pieces to finish up, like matting the back sides of these flaps. So what I did for those, which I'm going to show, is I took a leftover piece what I had and then just attached cardstock, colored cardstock, to make it a full piece. So this is not a full mat because I don't have enough paper for that. So it's just a half mat. I'll show you what I did. So I have this color, and then I have red. So I mean pink. So I have pink and blue pieces for the back sides of our pages. So what I did is I cut out one piece. Let's get some craft paper so you can see that. And two of these guys, so we're just going to attach them to this piece. So what I did, because this little strip is only an inch wide, I measure 3/8 inch and then add my 1/4 inch tape. And then when I attach my piece, I just follow along. You can see, not very well on the camera, the line where the tape is. So I just take and line my piece up with the edge of the tape. Then I have my 1/2 inch corner rounder, and I punch the tops, and then I'm going to turn around and punch the bottom. And I tested this before I tried it, because it's a double layer and just one spot. It still cuts with a double layer of cardstock. Now my screen might jump a little bit. So it takes a little more pressure because it is double. But so that's our piece, which we will attach to the back side of our flap. So I have my blue pieces, and then my pink pieces, which I'm thinking of, not on camera, thinking of switching out. Thinking of switching out, so the pink's on this side, but I think I'm just going to stick with that. Yeah, I think I am. Alright, so I already added tape to my backing, to the back of my piece. I'm going to add an extra bit of ATG. I'm actually going to take my tag out so you can see this a bit better. So I'm just going to line it up at the top. And that is our half. So that is, I'm shutting this real quick. So that's how we do the back side of each flap. And then for our section here, I cut out of plain cardstock some, this is really thick, pieces which we're going to go ahead and attach. So it's perfect for 4x6 photos. I'm going to go ahead and corner around all of these. Now you can punch one edge or two edges. There we go. So then we have our 2 mats for this guy. And my ATG needs to be replaced. So that's what those are going to look like when you are attaching this one. And then I have the middle guy and the little guy. Now the little guy is a perfect fit. So he's easy. For this middle guy, we have this extra spot down here. So you can either just mat in the middle and have that extra stuff. But I liked it because you can write or journal at the top, or you can put a strip of decorative paper. I just pulled that out of the stash. So just, you know, a long one or a short one. But it gives you a little bit of extra space if you wanted to add pattern paper, or you can make your mat bigger, or just, let me see if you could, there, you can see that. Or for journaling. So I really like that space there. Plus I needed it to be that big to fit in the pocket better. So that's how you mat the top half of your flaps and the inside of your flap tags, and then we decorate. Alright, so the back pieces I've attached, so you can see those, and then attached my inside mat for my pocket pieces. And then you just repeat for the other side. Alright, once we get all of our tags cut out and put into our album, we have tags for the front, and then we have tags for the back, these guys, and then I just put stickers at the top to add a little something extra. So we matted the left side. For the right side, it just goes in the opposite direction. So your page is mirrored image. And already matted. And at the front of the video, I went through all of this already. So everything gets matted and finished, and then you work on the closure and then decorate the front cover. So the flowers come in the kits with these pieces. This is scalloped edge, scallop die, stacked die that I used, and then these stars are Tim Holtz stars. Okay, and that finishes the project.